So this program we focus on the newspapers in Cameroon and around the continent. So we'll be back to give you what they are saying. Hello there, viewers. Once more, you are heartily welcome on board the program Press Brief. And for presentation, I am attending Larry Kevin Tabat. We start off with the first paper for today. The Dawn newspaper for this morning says land exploitation. Fako indigene must scream for justice. That is what you can find as a lead story of the Dawn newspaper for this morning. In that said publication, Dr. Francis Lawrence Biaka honored in emotional memorial. Get to read more on how the ceremony took place over the weekend at the Biaka University Institute of Boya. In that said publication, Manfe Cathedral, twin brothers among 7 newly ordained priests in the Manfe diocese, and the Kumba City Council prioritizes budget on fiscal responsibility. You can find details on that publication for today. Moving on to the media, and the median of Stephen Ojong for today have as lead story: defending nation's territorial integrity, special military operation to contain armed incursion in Akwaya subdivision of Manu Division in the Southwest region. Yaoundé Defense Chiefs review security in view of 20th May celebrations. And in that said publication, Indomitable Lounge, Samuel Etofis played tough as Min Sep Fikafoot's imbroglio drags on. We'll move on to the next publication for today. We take you now to the advocates. The advocates of Tabetang and Obika for this day says Cameroonian female CSO leader Atim Eveye addresses UN Security Council with headquarters in New York. Southwest lawyers get set for exam games Limbe City of Limbe. We move on to municipal updates for this morning. It talks of Bamenda multi-million market project. Contractor accuses City Mayor Paul Achombong for violating PM's decree. In that said publication, if you don't register, vote. If you don't register, you vote. Have no rights to complain. That is what Tumfor President Kohale talks on page 4 of that said publication. University of Boya senior barrister Eba Toko drills law students on career opportunities. In that said publication, Presbyterian Church Munya TV Bridget Dip Assam General Aso Emane says General Semenge light on the subject of the 6 May Logon talks of the heads of the list of some 2,380. This newspaper for this morning, the Advocates Women paper, talks of fight against violence and gender inequality. It says UN Women, Equatorial Guinea, and the Fondation Religieuse Para Salut, or hand in hand. You can find more on this Women Advocate paper that takes a fight to next door Equatorial Guinea. And 50 naira per liter as Dangote refinery. We move on to electricity. Meeting will enhance investment growth power sector. Daily trade meet visa ban, and palliative 9 die in stampedes in Wamakolo's house. And Daily Times for this day talks of anti-party activities. PDP in Delima over Wiki orders. Get to read details on page 4 on Daily Times newspaper for this morning. Media body CSO demand props into Shegun Alatinji's detention. Prosecution of perpetrators. Get to read details on that said paper for this day. Sporting Sun for this morning report on Barcelona Juventus plot summer transfer for Ndidi. In that said publication, Ortega to quit City over 5 million British pounds for Kamavaga. Get to read details on that said paper. Manchester United 2, Liverpool 2. It says Salah score or Salah score late penalty to switch points for Liverpool's. Daily Sun for this align against Atiku. Alleged fraud, ex-governor Buhari, minister, CEO, others prefer way to boost investment in Africa. We come back to the Cameroonian tabloid for today. We start with Sangdere 2 talks of two coaches for a two coaches for one national team. That's a big question that paper is asking, as the executive body of Fecafoot has given Samuel Eto'o fees 72 hours to appoint the coach of the Indomitable Lions after the government of Cameroon went in for Belgian man Mark Rees, who is already in the country. Electricity, as the Minister of Water Resources and Energy, Gaston Elendo Esomba, appreciates that initiative. Moving on to the next publication for this day, that is Integration for this morning. It talks of Russia, Senegal, the mirror. The paper reports on the lack mirror of the CEMAC member countries. You can find details on that said paper for today. Ramadan business, the paper reports on Yaoundé, the faces of Ramadan business. You can find more on that publication for today. La Meteo for today talks of Minsep Fecafoot, why Minister Nassis Molek on that on page 3. From La Meteo, we crossed over to the next publication, Newswatch of Eugene D says FIFA ban looms over Cameroon as Kombi Eto'o fights over Lions head coach. How Senator Fon Ekokomokete foiled Kumba bikers protest, and in that said publication, Antique engages council in the East region to digitalize services. You can find more on that publication. Civil status document, Northwest Public Independent Conciliator forces mayor to ahead on free issuance of civil status documents. Passport renewal, Cameroonians in UK accuse High Commission staff of extortion. You can find more on Newswatch newspaper for this morning. From Newswatch, we crossed over to the Guardian Post for this day. It says PCC moderator outbursts, government announces special operation to liberate Acquire from Nigerian herdsmen, and in that said publication, how Cameroonian migrant die in road crash en route to United States of America. The editorial of the Guardian Post for this morning talks of when Fecafoot seeks equity with dirty hands. You can to the last publication for today. The last publication for this morning is Le Témoin. Le Témoin reports on police officers and gendarmerie officers in uniform who went and bowed this morning on the gesture and behavior of persons of men and women of uniform who actually forgot that they were on duty but to go seek blessings from the man of God from Nigeria who was in Douala and Yaoundé, as he was welcome at the two different airports there in the nation. With Let Them When viewers, this is what put a pause on this of the program, but we'll be back to give you the second. Hey there, if you are just joining us, this is the second phase of the program, Press Brave, and paper for today, the Dawn newspaper reports on land exploitation. Fako indigene must scream for justice. Actually, the government actually stipulates CDC should render 5 hectares of land to the elitist richmen of the Cameroonian military, known as the Rapid Intervention Battalion, for a logistics center at Ombe, but it was more than 5 hectares of land that was actually cut out. And so we have this other story. This thing has been animating the news space, and what so is this the way forward for Fako indigenes must scream for justice, according to the Dawn?
Yes, I want to look at it in 2 ways. I want to review this in 2 ways. Firstly, we should not forget that we have a very vociferous human rights defender, right, for more than 20 years now. I'm talking about Christopher Tambetiku, who is the head of the Cameroon Human Rights Commission for the Southwest Region. He's the regional branch head. And this is not a fight which started today. And I want to say that it's quite unfortunate that everybody wants to have a piece of the cake, even when they do not deserve it. FACO is another issue as concerning lands in the Republic of Cameroon. It would appear the hospitality and the climate, which is quite favorable, where she too earmarked, because that the security post also exceeded the initial dimension that was given. And the worst is some of the pieces of land or some of the parcel of land which was allocated, which CDC took out time and said, okay, you now realize that between the surveyors and the rapid intervention battalion management, they should be answering, they should answer to Cameroonians, because whom we expect that they should indeed respect who they are. For one reason, we have bought a lot of things and given to them. They should not use the arms Cameroonians have bought against Cameroonians, because what we are afraid of, I tell you the truth, if you were an ordinary person, it would have, that said piece of land could have been taken.
Okay.
Yes, it could have maybe it could have been retained back to the management. But you know, when it involves top security persons, a lot of persons are not quite comfortable with the situation, because we know what happens. We know what happens in most cases. But I've always said this: be ready to fight for a just cause till the last drop of your blood.
Definitely.
Because that is what you will have the reward. When you are just, and if you go down because you're just, the reward is more than, in fact, you have a reward, a positive reward, than if you were to compromise.
Okay. We remain with that paper of the Dawn newspaper for today, still in FACO division of a gentleman from FACO extraction. I'm talking of Dr. Lawrence Francis Tonye Biaka, honored in emotional memorial. This is the founder of the Biaka University Institute of Buea, who died on the 3rd of April 2014. So this weekend that just passed, the wife, Dr. Francisca Biaka, deemed it necessary to celebrate her husband's 10th and memorial anniversary, and the Dr. Biaka Foundation that has been doing a lot of gesture. They just recently donated hemodialysis machines to the Buea Regional Hospital Annex, and they have been going around giving medical equipment to different hospitals all across the region.
Yes, you know, the generosity and the benevolence of Biaka. Though he is gone, the wife indeed is someone who accepted that, yes, my husband and I, we are going to be who we are forever. And this is where she has decided not to relent her effort in the course of being this generous. Yes, they have always been a philanthropist. As a matter of fact, I have a lot of persons who have gone through Biaka, and today they are bosses on their own. Okay. I think it's because of the level of transparency. Without any publicity, I speak based on fact and the experience. Workers, social security, and you find this quite often with them. So, of course, you know, we have had it in the past where we did not indeed celebrate the persons who are blazing the trail, who are setting the pace, persons who are indeed solving basic problems that mankind do have. If you know the number of persons and the number of students that Biaka actually produces, they solve the problem of those who had said, okay, we want to also go into nursing. And if you look at how much they contribute within the community, if you look at how much is also something very wonderful. We should learn, basically, we should learn how to celebrate us. And this is where the wife said, okay, Francisca, though Tome is gone, though Biaka is gone, but let me not stay behind. The memory of this wonderful person, which is a name which is now a household name, is in Cameroon, and it's going across Cameroon, because its produce, its output is everywhere within the globe. So I think they are doing great, and it's wonderful.
All right, we move away from that humanitarian gesture to talk something else with Leanne Dot. Leanne Dot of Jean-Pierre Amogo Belinga for this morning talks of open conflict between Fecafoot and government. He says the battle of the sons. That is what you can find on Leanne Dot newspaper of Jean-Pierre Amogo Belinga. Samuel Etofi's faces.
We call the Clash of the Sons, which is not like the Clash of the Titans. And what is quite unfortunate is we are looking at the children of a particular person. Both consider President Biya as a father. Both have been baptized by President Biya to be where they are today. We know the story behind how Edo Fees became Fecafoot president, because at one point, we should not forget that CAF had not actually approved him. That is, CAF was not comfortable with it. FIFA likewise. Howbeit, when the marksman has always been put by one of the venerated journalists of CRTV, when the marksman takes the lead and recommends, it is very difficult for any leader in the world not to accept such a person. And so this is how Edo Fees also became a son, and we have seen recently within this their row, within this their so-called this embryo, which is actually making waves today and giving a lot of news within the community and beyond the Republic of Cameroon. He could not indeed. I see one. I got one of his diplomatic move where he had to meet, but I think it was Junior, only to get into the father's heart, because he understands some of these things, and this is why it is captured sons who are now fighting. However, if you move away from their fight as persons to move into what the law and what everything is said to be, yes, Fecafoot indeed is the technical management of our national team, sure, as per the 2014 law. However, section of that particular article or that particular law managing Fecafoot. Yes, Fecafoot, according to Fecafoot, she is the one who ought to have a say before such a person is brought in. Yeah. That is, it should not be done independently from Fecafoot. So according to Samuel Etofis, Narcisse Moelle Kombi, who is the Minister of Sport and Physical Education, violated the law that is in place by because he went solo in bringing McBreeze.
But Lucas, let's dwell in the ambit of this saga. We saw from the presidency this appointment coming from the hierarchy. It wasn't a sole it wasn't a sole action of Narcisse Moelle Kombi. We saw how Mr. Biya himself was actually angry on the 10th of ahead of this who heads this saga that
he isn't the law.
Okay.
The head of state is not the law. The head of state is someone who ought to go by the law, because it is the law that brings him, or which brought him to where he is today. As such, though he was quite furious, perhaps as some consider it, that still does not give the head of state the prerogatives to contravene or to violate the law. We are talking about the law here. We are saying that these two persons, as per the law, ought to. Now, the mainstream politics, this is why the budget of Fecafoot is not voted at the level of parliament, which we need to know this. Now, this is where Edo Fees says, I have a say, you have a stake, we have a stake.
Okay.
And because we both have stakes in this, you should not take it as if it ought to be you alone. And no matter what we see as per what the head of state said on the 10th of February 2024, one thing is real problems, because it must not be a high instruction when we have laws in the country. As a matter of fact, the minister cannot write and you don't respect it because he does not write as Moelle Kombi. He probably must have taken that position as Moelle Kombi, but he is a minister created by the constitution and being managed by a particular law in the country. So Edo Fees says, okay, I need to understand what is happening. And what is quite unfortunate is, in charge, it says, you've got to give us a coach within 48 hours.
We are coming to that. That's the focus of another paper. So let's take you to Sang de Retour. Sang de Retour newspaper have a similar caption, but it's going towards Lucas's initial what he forecast earlier. The paper of
Fecafoot because she masters this. No matter what we see, she masters this. Fecafoot does. Now, the executive body with the person of Etofis, because the executive body is not independent from Etofis.
Sure.
Etofis is the head of the executive body of Fecafoot. So we are saying that others sat and said, we are giving you 48 hours. However, 72 hours. However, these 3 days given to you, we want to see somebody whom you have identified to manage this. And the procedure will still take place. Now, Fecafoot says, I identify, you pay. This is what Fecafoot is. The plight of Cameroonians. And this will also bring us to a position where a normalized this position where we thwart and undermine everything which is given to us.
Okay.
Paul Achombong recently had a positive score. If you were to go by other publications, I know that our city men still see themselves as government delegates. The defunct office of the government delegate. It does not exist. So don't take the actions of the government delegates as we had it in the past, where they thwarted the effort of city councils or municipal councils for their personal interest.